Hey guys, Miss Gephardt, and we're going to go through and talk about the spread of disease, so get your paper out and start taking some notes. Alright, so the first thing we want to talk about is communicable diseases. So these are diseases that are going to spread from one person to another. They're known as infectious or contagious. A contagion is a type of disease that can be spread through direct or indirect contact. And some examples would be like the common cold, the flu, pink eye, HIV. When we think of direct or indirect contact is going to be like if I wipe my nose and like high five somebody, that's direct contact. Indirect contact might be if I wipe my nose and then I touch a doorknob and then an hour later somebody comes by and touches that doorknob. So it's not like I high five the person, but I've transmitted the disease to them. All right, so how do communicable diseases spread? Well, the direct or indirect contact, we have carriers and vectors. So these are two terms you're going to have to make sure you understand. A carrier is an organism that has the disease and spreads it. So an example is a human. Human's a perfect example of a carrier of a disease. The person could have the flu, okay, and they sneeze in their hands and then they high five you, and they've got the disease and they pass it along to someone else. A vector is an organism that passes the disease on to others, but does not have it itself. And so vectors are going to be usually insects, ticks, fleas, mosquitoes. They're going to be things that bite you, and thus you get the disease. So remember, a carrier, human, has it. Vector, other organism that passes it along but doesn't have it. So kind of have that in your head when we talk about those. As we learned previous night's homework, type of microbes or things that can cause disease are viruses, bacteria, parasites, and fungi. So what happens when a disease spreads to multiple people? All right, so we have things called epidemics and pandemics. So epidemics happens when a disease affects a greater number than normal. Okay, so if we had the flu, for example, and all of a sudden the flu numbers in the Charlotte area were larger than normal, or maybe North Carolina were larger than normal, and it's starting to spread, that might be more of that epidemic in that local area. A pandemic is going to take this and we're going to start crossing borders of countries and crossing oceans. So we start moving from country to country. That's when it's a little more scary. So if we were to take and use this diagram, this kind of gives you an idea of how many cases we would be talking about. So if it's a bug, just a little bug, let's say it's just 3 cases. All right, in the whole 8th grade, 3 cases is nothing, right? An epidemic, now we have 30 cases, so that's a lot more kids. Pandemic, now we have 3,000 cases, so that's gone up tremendously, and that's going to start causing a lot of panic. So what should we do to treat these diseases? All right, we have things called vaccines, we have antibiotics and antivirals. Very important to understand, a vaccine is taken to help protect you from infection. So I do not take a vaccine if I am sick. If I am sick, I don't get a flu shot. That's not going to help me cure the flu. If I'm sick, I have to take other medicine to help me get better. To prevent getting the flu, I get a vaccine, okay? So that's a prevention. An antibiotic is going to be used to treat only bacterial infections. So penicillin, amoxicillin, you may have been prescribed that if you ever had strep throat or if you ever had an ear infection, that's going to be what they give you, okay? But it only does bacterial diseases. So do not tell me that the flu is going to be cured by an antibiotic. Not so much. Antivirals are going to be used to treat viruses. Viruses are very difficult to treat. So usually with a virus, if you had the flu, they're going to give you an antiviral. They can catch it early enough, and it's going to help make the life cycle of the virus shorter. Okay, so instead of it lasting for 7 to 10 days, the virus may only be able to reproduce and last for 5 days. Okay, so it's going to cut down the life cycle, but it's not going to kill it. It's just going to cut it back. But that's going to be helpful in treatment because obviously the flu isn't pleasant, so you don't want to be stuck with the flu. So what can we do to prevent diseases? You guys know this stuff. Hygiene. Wash your hands. Wash your hands. Don't share stuff. A lot of people like to take and do where they swap water bottles and they share water bottles. That's why you get sick. Don't do it. Okay, keep your house clean, keep your clothes clean, clean surfaces, wash dishes, don't allow bugs and things like that to live, because that's where things start to get nasty. Okay, antimicrobials are things like soap or hand sanitizer, and their purpose is to kill off the small, they're antimicrobials. They're going to kill off the small little things. Just be cautious with things like hand sanitizer. Remember, they give you a nice little claim on that little bottle that says 99.9%. So that means 0.1% is not getting killed. So you got to be careful, okay? If soap and water are available, a little bit of warm water and soap will do you a great bit of good. But if you are absolutely positively out of soap, hand sanitizers would not be a bad choice. Be healthy, okay? Eat right, exercise, get a good night's sleep, keep yourself clean, and that's going to help keep you nice and safe and prevent you from getting diseases. So non-communicable diseases, these are the non-infectious type. These are the ones that aren't contagious. These are things like cancer. I can't give you a high five and give you cancer. It doesn't work like that, okay? These are usually diseases that may be passed genetically through mom and from grandma to mom to you, or they could just be something that has occurred in the body, okay, due to mutation or whatever. But these are not just directly going to be hit like high five or I touch the doorknob and all of a sudden I've got cancer. It doesn't work like that. These are non-communicable diseases. All right, so that was your nice little tidbit on spread of disease. If you have any questions, please make sure you ask, and make sure you go to Canvas to take your notes quiz.